I'm Lauren Whitehurst. I'm a certified personal trainer and certified nutrition coach.
Hi, I'm Sunny Lippincott. I'm a certified professional life coach and a certified brain health professional.
We also have Angela Salyers, who is a licensed professional counselor, and the three of us together make up
Whole Life Vitality.
We teach whole life vitality of the mind, body, and soul, bringing the physical, emotional, and spiritual together for whole life wellness. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Today, we are so excited to talk about something very seasonally appropriate, I think.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about fear.
Fear.
Oh my goodness, there are so many things to be afraid of. And I think around this season, everyone really tries to do the whole spooky, scary thing, which I am so not into.
Me either.
I'm not hardcore anti-Halloween. I'm just hardcore anti being scared.
I don't like it.
I don't like being scared.
What is that saying? It's just not my thing.
It's not
I've
my
never
thing.
been into
That's
it.
That's right. Haunted houses, not my thing. I have done them. That movie, The Sixth Sense? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 40. Yes,
it gave me
I know
nightmares for a week. And then years after that, anytime somebody would flush the toilet at one end of the house and the water would run cold, I'm throwing the shower curtain back and I'm like, where's the ghost? What's happening?
Are we at the age that there are some listeners that don't know what we're talking about with that movie, or is that still a cult classic?
I don't know. We need to know. Have you seen? Do you know what The Sixth Sense is?
Mm-hmm.
And have you seen it? And did it freak you out? It totally freaked me out.
I don't like being scared.
Mm-mm.
I don't like being scared.
But scary things happen every day.
Every day. And what's ironic is most people enjoy watching, fear-based entertainment, but they have anxiety and that freaks them out.
Okay. My daughter, very into murder mysteries, loves them, right? Very into them. And she's a teenager. She reads the YA, so they're not even super intense, right? Yeah. But then she came out to me one night and she's like, Mom, I'm just having such a hard time. My anxiety is just really high. And I'm like, stop reading murder mysteries at bedtime. Stop doing that. Maybe just read them during the day. Yeah. Not as you're trying to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's really not good. Not good.
I'm afraid someone's going to break into our house. Well, maybe stop filling your brain with that.
Right before you're supposed to rest.
Yes. Yes.
So fear. Okay. So, if you know my past, I had anxiety disorder, dealt with it for
too long.
Too long. I mean, well over 5 years, that the actual disorder I suffered from. And so many people don't understand the difference between healed and healing. And just because I don't suffer with anxiety disorder any longer doesn't mean that I never feel anxious.
Right.
Anxiousness is an emotion, just like I still feel sadness, even though I'm a life coach. I still feel I have down days. I experience depressions at times. Yep. I have all of the emotions.
We are dynamic individuals and we should have all of the emotions.
If you're not robotic.
If you're not feeling all of the emotions, then you've probably built up some barriers between yourself and the outside world. And that's usually caused by emotional trauma.
Yes. So what is that quote, that courage is not the absence of fear, but rather that
doing things in spite of the fear.
Yes, that what you're working towards is more important to you than the fear. Yep. What you're striving for, that thing. And so planes, I don't particularly care for flying. It's not my favorite form of travel. It's my least favorite form of travel, actually.
It's nice that it gets you there quickly.
Yes.
And you get to go places you wouldn't get to go otherwise.
That's a whole nother thing, because I'm after you've switched planes and you've had the delays, and so you've had a trip that was supposed to cut down your 14-hour flight, and then you just cut it down by and then you got there in 8 hours, and so, whatever.
You have to get to the airport like 2 to 3 hours before your flight, depending on where you're flying out of.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
I could go off on a tangent, but I know there are people that are sitting there like, I love flying. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I did have, when I had the anxiety disorder, claustrophobia was another thing. Anything that made me feel out of control. Well, on a plane, what's more out of control than being 30,000 feet in the air? I can't just stop, pull over, and get out. I am completely, at their disposal. And so that was...
I just try not to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to dissociate for the next 3 hours. Get back to me when we get there.
Well, that was after I worked through the anxiety disorder. The big test was getting on a plane. And I had to do it because I wanted to know. Like, I had won a trip out to California, and I live in Alabama. Driving to California, no thank you. That's
like 3 days.
So I was like, I'm equipped with the tools now, and I did it, and there was no panic attack, but I did feel the effects of it, and now when I fly, it's not something that I do often enough to where I'm just completely numb to it. I don't fly enough to where I'm numb to it. But my husband just needed to fly to Nebraska for business, and he asked me to go with him. And so that's the courage. The thought of spending time with my husband, because we're both busy.
Yeah.
We've got 3 kids. We're both busy. The thought of spending time with my husband and being able to support him with, his dreams and his business and his goals, that meant more to me than the uncomfortability that came with flying. So I was like, I'm going to be brave, and every time I'm good. And then it gets up to the time and I'm like, okay,
you psych yourself up.
Yeah.
For it. You're like, yes. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
So, and that's the thing. Anxiety will tell you to run. To hide, to get away from it, to not do it. But every time you do that, every time you walk away from something because you're scared, then you've basically solidified in your mind. You've told your brain that you're not strong enough to do that.
Yep.
And then it will remind you every time that you couldn't do that. Remember, you couldn't do that.
And then when you don't do it again, then you validate that thought process.
Absolutely. So it's very important that you don't retreat. That even though you're scared, you still do the thing. And so that's important to me. So I said yes. And so here's the thing about fear. I will talk to some people who are like, well, I can't do what you do because you do all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, but I just do them, despite the fear, despite being scared, I do it, and you can too. And that kind of brings me to, how do we fight the fears?
Yeah.
Because you can fight the fears. And I'm not talking about like sitting on your couch and forcing yourself to watch, a scary, like poltergeist or something. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the things in your life that halt you from moving forward.
Right.
Those are the fears that we're talking about.
When you think about where you want to be.
Yes.
And what you want to do, these are desires. These are things that you want. And then the steps that you have to take to get there, and you're stuck.
Yes.
And you can't move forward, and you're terrified. And what are those fears? And how do we work through those fears?
Yes. And first and foremost, you're listening to everything that you're saying to yourself. So it's so important that you eradicate the I can't.
Right.
And
because your body believes you.
You believe, yes.
At what you tell yourself, you believe. And your body wants to serve you.
Absolutely.
And you think, well, I'm afraid of this. I can't do this. So your body says, you're right.
Yeah.
Your body's like the ultimate yes man. You're right. We'll do exactly that.
So freak out. So I'll start helping you freak out. Let's get in your head.
Yep.
Let's think back and bring up all the memories to that event that scares you. And so that's what'll happen. So when preparing,
and then you're spiraling, mental spiral.
So when preparing for this, I don't say, I don't like it. I'm not looking forward to this. I don't want to do this. I'm scared of this. They may pop in my head, but I stop them.
Yeah.
Like I realize they're there and I stop them and I start focusing on the end goal, like the main objective of why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important. It's not to not think them, but to catch those thoughts and to catch those words and to really focus on the why and focus on the goal. What is the goal? And,
and when those thoughts come, then you can say, oh, these are terrifying. They're scaring the crap out of me. Or you can use them as an opportunity to come up with solutions. Okay. Yes. So I always, with my daughter, I'm like, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen?
Yes.
She was terrified to go to the dentist. And what were we doing? She was getting a filling. Terrified to get this filling. And she loves the dentist. She loves her dentist. We have the most amazing dentist. He's so much fun. And I said, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? And she goes, I could die. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure he's never killed anyone, because if he has, I don't think they would let him practice medicine anymore. I don't think he would be allowed to be a practicing dentist. So we're going to say that's very unlikely.
Yeah.
It's just a filling. So knowing that's worst case scenario, and we're going to talk through the unlikelihood of that happening, yes, then it calms that fear. Go to the absolute worst thing you could possibly think of. Okay, so the plane crashes and we all die. That's worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Of course, this story would have the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That really is the worst case scenario is death.
It doesn't get worse than that, right?
But did you die?
Right.
Well, worst case scenario in a plane, then yes, you all die.
Worst case scenario, that's what happens. Well, what's the likelihood of that happening?
Yes.
People fly every day. They do. And do planes crash? Yes. But so rarely.
Oh, it's the car crashes. I mean, you can look up the probability between the two, yes, and it's absurd.
You're more likely to die from a car accident than you are to die from a plane crash.
It's nuts.
Right.
So truly, and working through worst case, that's actually really, really healthy. I mean, I know you're thinking right now, these chicks don't know what we're talking about because a plane crash is scary. But no, we're serious. Like when you experience the fear, truly in your brain going to worst case.
Yep. And then rewrite it with logic.
And rewrite it with logic is so valuable. It's such a valuable tool to have. Yeah. And then, working with a gratitude. So for me, when the thoughts would come up, it's, well, I get to spend a whole weekend alone with my husband. Like I have parents that are willing and excited to take care of my kids, and not everyone has that.
Yep.
We have an opportunity here and all of these things. And you just start talking about the gratitude and you can feel your body shift.
Yep.
So that's what I do. And then, as I prepared for the plane, they make me a little queasy. There's air sickness. It's a thing. So I make sure you be prepared.
Yep.
When you have the fears, be prepared.
I'm concerned that I might get nauseated. Okay. Yes. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take some mints, or I'm going to, I love essential oils. And so I take some essential oils for my stomach, or some peppermint to smell or whatever.
Yes.
But take something that works for you.
Pack a snack. After you go through.
Have you seen that there's an old school YouTube video that talks about Dramamine?
Yeah.
She calls it Dramamine.
Yeah,
it keeps the drama mine. It keeps it from being other people's drama. And so I'm like,
it's so true.
If you need to do the whole Dramamine thing and knock yourself out and sleep the whole flight,
which I take motion sickness, but I take the non-drowsy because I actually want to enjoy the time that I have with my husband. But do that, and just plan ahead. I had to get up at 3 a.m. to be there, and because the flight was leaving at like 5:15, so I know I'm not going to have a huge cup of coffee at 3 a.m. because I've already got, I'm already nervous and I'm like, I'm not going to upset my stomach and all this kind of stuff. So I plan ahead.
Okay. You know what scares me? Plane poops.
Yeah.
Plane poops. I'm
going to the bathroom on a plane, period.
I'm always so afraid that I'm going to have to poop when I'm on the plane.
No kidding.
Or that I'm going to wind up with a stomach ache because I won't let myself poop on the plane.
And nerves. Yeah. Yes. You're already nervous. Oh, just plain potties. Okay. Just plain potties. Like, I'm not even like a nervous peer, but I swear I will go and then I'm like, 5 minutes until I'm like, hey, when are we loading? How much time? I probably should go again.
Oh, I will race to the bathroom
to avoid that plane toilet.
Yep. And it's so claustrophobic. It's so tiny in there.
It's
I'm like,
just
are we
not
supposed
fun.
to pee in a sardine can?
It's just not fun. So plan, plan ahead. That's for the fear. Plan ahead. So I was smart. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to have a coffee at this time. Like I know I'm going to be nervous already. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to sit there and eat. There's just what people can eat at 5 o'clock in the morning was just blowing my mind as I was walking through the airport.
I saw somebody get like, what is it? Not, it's Chinese food. It's that fast food Chinese food. I can't think of
like
the name.
Panda Express.
Panda Express. That's what it was. And 2 big containers of Panda Express at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm looking.
Granted, these might be people that work all night, so that's their dinner. Well,
and maybe they're traveling internationally, and that
I don't know.
They've already done breakfast, lunch, and this is dinner. Who knows?
But my stomach was turning as I was walking through. I'm like, listen, I'm going to eat light. I planned. Like, I'm going to eat light. I'm going to drink water. Like, I'm going until my insides wake up a little bit from getting up at 3 a.m. So I'm just plan ahead. Then
I always pack snacks.
Yes, just plan. And then I got on the plane and, they have to tell you the door is closing. Well, and that's always the part that used to get me was that's the moment that my mind would say, okay, you're no longer in control. You can't leave. The door is closed.
I am now at the mercy of the captain and the crew.
Exactly. And so that when I know I can feel it like a wave starts down and it comes over me and I'm like, and I tell myself, you're okay.
Yeah.
And the next thing I do,
breathe.
I breathe. So I'm going to walk you through this breathing technique. I've talked about it before, but repetition is key. And this is what Navy SEALs use to calm their nerves. And they do this daily.
I think we have a YouTube tutorial.
Yes, we have a YouTube tutorial about this as well.
On our
but
YouTube.
It's box breathing. And so I do this and it's so effective and it's so easy to remember because there's different breathing techniques out there and some might be the 4-7-8 breathing and that's
right.
But this one is just 4-4-4. So it's a box. So you're breathing in through the nose with a count of 4. So it's, and you want to breathe in like diaphragmatic breathing. So you feel your lower belly expand out as you're breathing. So you're not just like, you want your belly to expand. Okay,
when I do it with kids, I tell them to lay on their back and make their belly into a mountain.
Yes.
And then make it into a valley.
So
and make it into a mountain.
I will actually put my stomach, because I'm sitting up in a plane, but I'll put my hand on my stomach. And so you want to feel your hand like push out. You know that you're breathing correctly. So you do that to a count of 4 and then you hold for 4 counts. So you're breathing in through the nose, count to 4, and then you hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to release it out of your mouth for a count of 4. So it's, and then you hold that after that for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you start over breathing in through the nose for the count of 4, hold for 4, release out of the mouth for 4, and hold for a count of 4. And you're going to do that over just for a couple of minutes over and over
as long as it takes for you to feel calm,
for you to feel calm. And that's what every time I can feel that wave come over, that's what I do. And it calms the body. And after that moment, after I have calmed down, then I pray. And so prayer is a form of meditation. So any type of meditation that you want to do, whether it's just sitting quietly, whether it's, putting something in and listening to a guided, but I just use that time and I pray and I just work through a prayer and really just connect my spirit, and my mind and my heart in one accord and fight through that fear. And after I've done that, every time I'm just like, whew, and I turn to my husband and we can talk.
Yeah.
Then, like, I just have to get to that moment, get through that phase. And I turn to him and I'm good, and if any point throughout, cause we experience turbulence, I don't love turbulence either. I'll repeat the process. So, you can always come back to your breath, whatever, wherever you're at. If your fear is heights, and you're climbing up and, you're on a mountain, maybe, you're on vacation and, they want you to come see the view.
It's the altitude change that always gets me.
Yes.
That's
do your breathing.
Yep.
You can when you can feel it coming on, your body will let you know. Like, it's not just that someone has like a panic attack and it comes out of nowhere. Your body starts giving you signs.
Right.
And you will start, like, your breathing will become shallow.
And part of what causes
erratic.
the anxiety is the lack of oxygen.
The lack of oxygen.
Your blood doesn't have enough oxygen. Your brain doesn't have enough oxygen. And as you do that box breathing, you are giving your body enough time to absorb the oxygen that you're bringing in. And that's part of the reason why it's so important to take it in through the nose.
Yes.
Because it slows everything down enough for you to absorb more of that oxygen.
Absolutely. So you're getting signs. That erratic breathing, that's a sign. The heart palpitations, that's a sign. Whenever you feel like that flood coming up, like in the wave hits your body.
I get the cold sweats.
Yes, the cold sweats. Those are all
brutal.
signs. Your body is telling you, hey, we're uncomfortable. We're all in here. We're uncomfortable. Do something.
Fight or flight. Fight or flight.
So then working with your body. And listen, I had to change planes. So that's 4 flights. And I did it on every flight. And I was okay. Like, I read a book. I was able to read. I watched my Great British Baking Show that I had downloaded.
That's awesome.
My absolute favorite.
And every time that you can show yourself that you can do it, that you can survive these situations that are hard, then you begin to believe that.
Absolutely.
And the situation becomes less and less and less intense over time.
Absolutely. So before I would be in my head for months about the flight, and now it's okay. I say yes to it. And the day before, the day of, I realize, I'm getting on the plane. But that's so, to me, just such a great win as opposed to before. And if I flew regularly, it would be even better. But like Lauren said, every time you do it, you've solidified to your brain, you can do this. She did this. Yep. Here's the example,
I have a friend who used to call it DOPE, DOPE, dread of planned events.
Yes.
And I was like, that's a good one.
We all experience that.
But just like anything else with mindset, the more you say things to yourself, the more you practice them, the more you believe them. So if you start using phrases like dope, and you start believing that you have this dread of any planned event that's coming, then your anxiety is going to go through the roof.
I can't do it. I don't like doing it.
I can't believe I have to do
I
this.
don't want to do it.
So awful.
Yeah. All of those things. You're hyping yourself up in the wrong way.
Absolutely.
So
it can go, anything you feed gets stronger. Anything you practice gets stronger. And so if you're living in an existence where you have practiced being really anxious and you're really good at being really anxious, but you don't want to be anxious anymore, then let's start practicing something else.
Yeah. Let's stop practicing saying.
There you go.
Let that be the first step.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just
stop talking about it.
Maybe we'll just say something different, change our dialogue.
Yes.
We can totally do that. If you have questions about fear, if you're working through something right now, we have both overcome so much fear. Right. I used to be terrified of water, and so I became a lifeguard. it happened. It worked.
I am
it
not going
great.
to be a pilot.
You're not going to be a pilot.
Not going to be a pilot.
There are lots of things that we can help you work through if
Yes.
you are interested in chatting about it. But thank you, Sunny.
Yes.
For sharing your lovely plane story
Yes.
with us. I'm glad that you had a good trip.
Yes.
You came back safely. The plane did not crash.
It did not
no
crash.
worst case scenarios here.
No worst case scenarios. I did read my book, and I did watch my great British baking show.
The Great British Bake Off. Is
Yeah.
that what it is? That one?
It's really hard for Americans to say that. And I did have conversation, just to keep in mind. These are why my husband was resting. Okay. It wasn't like he was sitting there trying to talk to me and I'm like, shh. I'm watching Paul Hollywood, talk about their soggy bottom bread. No,
come on, you guys have been married for 21 years,
21
almost, years. And so it's not like you haven't gotten comfortable just being near each other without talking.
No, it was when he was like,
yeah, exactly.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna
exactly.
put the headphones on now.
Oh, so fantastic! Alrighty, well, thank you for showing up today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us here. We would love to talk to you. We would love to hear your questions, whether they're related to fear or mindset or nutrition or fitness or
any questions.
Really anything. Mind,
mental
body,
health.
soul. Yep, we got you. And we will answer them here on the show. So we hope to hear from you and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, friends.